Are we? Okay, mine's not up yet, but that's okay because I can see the chat and I can see Cynthia and Mike. So welcome everybody. So those of you, let's do some introductions because I know first there are some brand new people and some of the searchers are like, I'm brand new to this. Who do I go to talk to? I said, come into chat tonight. So be good, you all. So we're going to be calling this new series. So you know, Monday night's my night on my channel. Are we sure we're live? Because it says waiting. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna call this Kitchen Sink Mondays because these are the rabbit holes that we're gonna go down. And okay, it says live here. No, it's Jack's saying no, we're not live. Oh, I need to. Okay, I just need to move then. I'm not seeing the room. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me get over to where we're at. Yeah, it did. I just need to figure out how to do. Honey. Cynthia, we knew we were going to have a fun night tonight, huh?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Hang on, everybody. We'll get it worked out here in a second. Hang on.
JK is saying they can.
Okay, they can hear us now. Welcome, everybody. It's Monday night. Sorry about the issues. Yeah, we are live. Go ahead, Kpro.
Okay. I don't know if you can take down the other one because there's still people in there. Anyway, hello everybody. So we've been testing the Rodecaster, which is the sound system to take calls. So that's the reason there's some little hiccup. Yeah, there's about 150 in the other room. I know, Lockdown. Hopefully they will come on over and join us here because here is where we're given the info. Tony Rusi is saying there is an echo. So first, let's all say hello just briefly. I'm Kpro. Do I have an echo? Say yes if say echo Kpro if it is, or we're fine. Echo. Yeah. So Mike, we're having a problem.
I don't know. Let's just cancel the show tonight. How about that? All right, hang on a minute.
Mike took his grumpy pill today, everybody. Okay, am I still echoing? I just took my audio and I can unplug. Is this better? Is this not? Oh, I just unplugged. Hold on a sec. I just unplugged.
No, I don't think that's it. But yeah, plug it back in.
I'm still.
And Cynthia's here with us, everybody. You talk, Cynthia. Let's see how you sound.
Go Green Bay. I feel sorry for Christy because she's wearing a Detroit Lions hat. Do I have an echo? Anybody? Can you hear me now?
Mike is good. Hi, Cynthia. Nope. I don't know what no means. Yeah. You. Okay.
Why?
So say echo Cynthia if there's an echo. Mike is good. Kpro is still echoing.
Test. All right, let's see. Pages are doubled. Well, I don't know what that means, Davio. I don't know what pages are doubled means. Let me check everything.
Now, how is Cynthia, y'all? Cynthia's is worse, is what Anon says. Cynthia is echoing.
He said I'm worse.
Yeah, the echo is worse for you.
Okay.
All right, let me try this. Let's see if that fixed it or not. They're in the canyon down. All right, talk now, Kpro.
Cynthia, you first. You're more important.
Okay. Go Green Bay. Go Aaron Rodgers. Detroit sucks. Oh, sorry, not the town. The team. Not the town. The team.
Are you ragging on the Lions?
Okay, now I'm going to say, go Detroit, go, and now I know it's Lions. I always get the Lions and the Tigers mixed up. And this is a football team, so there you go. I apologize up front.
Oh my God.
She's such a big sports person. Okay.
Someone said I still echo.
I have another window open.
You have a window open. What's that now?
That's what Dobby is saying.
How about if I turn my laptop off? Will that help?
Hold on, I'm gonna shut everything down and come back.
I don't understand why I set up a link and then, yeah, I don't know what happened. Give me a second. All right.
I apologize. Actually, I think W might be right.
But I don't hear it through here though, so I don't know.
I don't either. Okay.
So Christy and I still echo. I'm shutting down my laptop. Do I sound better now? The guys that said I echoed. Davio, do I still echo?
The first page is open. Well, you guys don't have YouTube open, do you?
Yes, I did.
I did, but I don't anymore.
Yeah, but that's not. No, we had this issue. We had this issue when we used the Roadcaster. It's doing the same thing. Remember, Christy?
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Let me see here. Oh, there is our live subscriber count.
Yeah, you are.
Echoing. Oh, Toby just called. All right, I'll be right back.
It is the Roadcaster.
No, I'm not using the Roadcaster.
Okay, so I guess we shouldn't talk because it is really echoey. I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah, the hint was just Cynthia and Kpro still echo. Okay, so we're sorry, but this is the great part. That means Toby was in the room. He sees what's happening.
Okay. All right. Go to your full screen, which is you're at now. You've got Zoom on there, right? Yes, right. I've got Zoom. Yep. There's an audio window, and across the top, it depends. Are yours horizontal or vertical? Your audio monitors. I don't know what you mean by audio monitors. I've got select a microphone, select a speaker under audio and Zoom. So if you go across the bottom, right? There are themes, sources, and audio mixer. In Zoom. No. Yeah, in OBS. Gotcha. Okay. Actually, talk Kpro. Let's see if it's any better right now.
2, 3. I'm testing, kitchen sink, Christy.
They said they can hear you good, Toby. All right, hang on a minute. I think just doing that may have fixed it. Does that work, everybody, for Kpro or no? Talk, Cynthia, please.
Hey, am I still echoing? Am I good?
I don't know. It's really loud, but I don't know. Try pressing any key.
Am I too loud?
Nice.
No, it's still echoing.
We need to adjust that, but you need to be in OBS to do it. Okay, I'm in OBS. All right. So,
Oh, it says fix, success, better. Mike? Yippee, perfect, better. You're good, Kpro, all good. Mike? Okay, hold on. He's saying hold on. Okay, we're better, but they want to fix something, guys.
They said I've been fixed.
I'm fixed too.
I'm neutered. I was neutered a long time ago.
I'm gonna have my drink until Mike says I can talk.
All right, everybody. I think we're okay. Thanks to Toby from AGK for saving the day. You guys, does that sound good, everybody? Cynthia's good but loud.
We're fine.
Cynthia, I don't know if you can go into your sound settings and maybe turn it down a little bit.
Can I turn the microphone down?
No, just move this a little bit away from your mouth. That's all. We'll do it old style.
How about that? Is that better?
Okay.
Well, when you say audio
go.
mixer, right. Right.
Okay. So on the lower half, if you read from right to left, the windows are scenes, sources.
Yes.
Audio mixer.
Oh, gotcha. Yes, audio mixer. Gotcha.
Okay. Now, take a look at. So I have my audio mixer levels set to vertical. Most people leave them at horizontal. Are yours vertical or horizontal? Audio under audio mixer.
They're vertical. They're vertical. So audio inputs on top, then audio output, then webcam. It looks like.
Right now, when ask Cynthia to talk and see which one of those bars is affected by.
Yeah, audio output. Go ahead and talk, Cynthia.
Go Green Bay. Go Aaron Rodgers. Let's pick on Chicago Bears.
Oh, actually,
next.
It's not coming through either one, so something's not right.
Wait, but if we're not echoing, Mike, since we have so many in the room, why don't we just roll with it and we'll fix it later?
But can they hear you, though? I don't think they can hear you at all right now.
Hang on just a second.
Yeah. They're saying no echo. We're good.
I put my microphone back where it was, too.
Just a second.
Yeah. Talk now, Kpro. Kpro, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, it doesn't show any. They can hear you. I don't think they can hear you right now, can they?
Can everyone hear me? At this point, can everybody hear it? It's saying, okay, hang up, Toby, let's roll, rile them up, let's go. Okay, we hear you. We hear okay. Yes, we hear. Sounds good. Everything is fine. We can hear you. Yes.
I can hear her.
Oh, okay. It just doesn't show in OBS, which is strange because normally it does. Cynthia.
Hey, Toby,
either.
hi. Oh, you can't hear me? Am I still too loud?
Say it again, Toby. Okay, then if you're around when we get done, we'll go over it. I'm not sure what I did, but what I'll probably do is set one up from scratch. Okay, Toby?
Okay, all right, go ahead. I'm going to hang up.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Toby.
All right, bye.
Okay, perfect.
All right, everybody. Sorry about that. Man, I came home from work, crashed, woke up just now, and for some reason, I don't know. It's weird, though, because I don't hear your input, but that's fine. As long as everybody can hear us, and we're all set.
Okay.
So, all right. Sorry, everybody.
Okay, so let's roll right into, we don't need any songs or anything tonight. Let's jump into some hard-hitting content. We're going to call this series.
I can't play the Chaseopoly song for 10 minutes? No, go ahead. I'll put the new link. I'll put the new link out there. Sorry, everybody.
So Kitchen Sink, this is Kitchen Sink Mondays. So those of you that don't know, a few of you are new to the room. If you're still with us, thank you. We have been working on a documentary. We got some time with Douglas Preston. We got some time with Forrest Fenn. And there has now created 3 buckets of quotes that we have and footage that we have. One that we know we're going to use for the documentary. That won't come out in individual clips. The cutting room floor is what we're looking at right now. There's some that are on the bubble, but there's some that are we know we're not going to use, but we know would be of interest to the search community. With that, we have decided to put those out in the clips that will actually hear Forrest or Douglas specifically in. And that is just a way that we want to get it out, but you don't put out B-roll footage with you usually professional protocols. I did not know this. I'm working with documentarians. You don't just put all the B-roll footage out because there might be some some things that just don't look as professional. So we can put quotes out or small snippets, and we're going to put out the entirety of those. So that's what we're going to do for the next, I would say, at least few weeks, few months, because we have enough. And then we have this collection that we got as well. And we just started going through those. I'm going to talk about this again because last show was Saturday or Sunday. There's been a huge amount of questions. A lot of people were not there because it wasn't during our normal time. So I'm going to commit to doing Thursday show because I've gotten so many additional questions. They thought we went too fast. We went like an hour and a half. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. But we have a little known searcher in the search community. No one knows who she is because she's always out boots on the ground, running around, ready to get this treasured chest. So here she is. She acts all serious. She's not. I've been on the ground with this lady. Super fun. So, Cynthia, you are here tonight, and tell us why specifically tonight, because you know what we're going to be talking about tonight. So, why are you here tonight to talk about this particular quote?
Do you want me to start talking about 2016? My quote?
Yeah, you can gear it up. Yeah.
Are we starting into the meat and potatoes?
I think we get into the meat. They waited so long. Yes.
Are we live? Oh, just kidding.
Are we live?
I'm going to go make some coffee. I'll be right back. That's
okay.
The
And I
problem.
will say for everyone, would you please thumbs up this video, subscribe, super chat is on. I know some people have some hard-hitting questions for Cynthia. We will do that at the end. And super chat, we always commit to answering super chat questions, I will say, Cynthia. But yes, gear it up. The
super chat is not on. Yeah. Because
we're on my
riches.
channel.
Yeah.
Sorry, super chat is not on.
Right.
Sorry, no hard-hitting questions for Cynthia. Once I get to 1,000, we can, and we could actually. Well, there's some other features.
Maybe it's good. It's not on. They can't make us show a clip now, so maybe it's good. It's not on. Or I could just have technical issues and let the whole video play on accident. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so over to Cynthia on what are we teeing up tonight, and why specifically? Like you thought this was important because you had some additional information, which I think is awesome.
So let me give a little bit of background here before I play Forrest Fenn in an interview that took place back in 2016 for the New York Times newspaper. Basically what this entails, a journalist was here to interview Forrest and myself. And I actually took the journalist and her camera person on a boots on the ground. And so I was actually involved with this. As everybody knows who's ever worked with the media through this, usually they tape record Forrest anywhere from an hour to 3 hours maybe, and they use a very, very small portion of that for whether it's their actual TV or video project, or in this case, it was like a 5,000 or 10,000 word article in the New York Times. So anyway, so I was fortunate enough to actually hear this back in 2016. Obviously, don't expect this to be earth-shattering. I've been searching for a long, long time, and obviously this isn't important enough to help you find it, but it intrigued me, and it is something that I had never actually heard him say before or again until Christy was there interviewing Forrest and Doug for their documentary. So I'm going to, what I did because of possible copyright issues that we're not sure of, I am going to play Forrest's actual words, but where the reporter spoke, I am repeating the words that this journalist asked Forrest. So I actually say when the journalist actually spoke, that will be me speaking. But this is totally unedited. I used exactly the same words that this journalist used, and I did not edit Forrest at all. So I'm going to put this up to my microphone and let's see if this works. So the gist of the conversation at this point, the interview, I believe the journalist was talking about how we were looking for a blaze, and then Forrest knows me so well. He said, yes, Cynthia just wants to look for a blaze, so she manufactured her warm waters halt, which actually I did not. We actually did have one. And but this is what followed the conversation about the blaze, and basically Forrest said I had a really stupid WW8, but whatever, here we go.
I remember this one, I think. Yeah.
Let's see if this works.
I can take you out in my yard and show you 50 blazes. It's not going to help you find a treasure because you don't know where warm water halts. You cannot back it in. It doesn't work like that.
The journalist then says, so if you don't start right, you're not ever going to get there.
If you're going to go to the grocery store, what's the first thing you do?
The journalist says, I get a shopping cart.
You go get in your car. You see, that's a good example of you looking for the blaze instead of where warm water halts. You got to get in your car to...
The journalist says, but what if you think that you found where the warm waters halt?
Therein lies the puzzle. And I rest my case again. Find where warm water halts and let that take you to the puzzle, because I can show you millions of blazes.
So what I found so intriguing about this, and did that come through clear? Christy, can you tell if people can hear it? Okay. So what intrigued me when I heard this, when I heard Forrest say about the first thing you do is get in your car, that drove me crazy for 3.5 years until Christy actually asked this during that last interview of hers. And I thought that he may have meant you start like in his driveway, or the poem starts in Santa Fe, and then you have to solve the poem starting in his driveway. And I actually even published several stories where I actually started on the Santa Fe Trail, because the old Santa Fe Trail actually runs through his house. It's where his wagon is parked. I think it's a wagon that's outside his front door or library. So anyway, that was always such an enigma to me about getting in your car. And then thank goodness for Kpro and Mike and their documentarian Alan. They actually got a very detailed answer to this.
Okay, so this is where we'll tee up. It's kind of related. And some of you, I didn't tee it up as much this whole series because we got started so late. Some people are going to say, and I actually used the term earlier, I wonder if you have a tap in my house. It might be a nothing burger to you, and it might be something to you. And it might be not, it's definitely not for poem purists. This is something to do in the off season. We're going to talk a little bit more about stuff that'll be coming in on the off season. But do you remember, Holly asked, do you remember what your WWWH was at that time?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, she's asking you.
Oh, okay, because I'm not watching the chat room.
Yeah, I'll watch.
Is she asking me what my WWH was at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually the same one that Jason Dent used. Jason and I were actually searching the same area at the time that this interview took place. So that was basically Santa Cruz Lake, just north of Santa Fe, I don't know, 30 miles, 40 miles, if that.
Okay, so why don't we move now to the quote, and you're going to actually hear me. I was not supposed to be the interviewer, but we wing it in types of things. There was times we were jumping, and I'm going to be doing some travel in the next few weeks to finalize some things. And so I'm kind of excited about that. But let's stay on track here. Mike, can you play the kind of corresponding?
Are we doing Douglas Preston, or are we doing the Forrest Fenn one?
We're doing the Forrest Fenn one. We have jumped past the Douglas Preston one for right now.
We'll play that at the end then, is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
All right.
We'll kind of introduce everything at the end. I wanted to jump into kind of content because we had some delays.
Give me a second to set it up. Hopefully I don't screw this up too.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're rolling with things, guys.
All right. Hold on.
Is Mike still? Are you still doing technical stuff, Mike? I want to expound on that answer I just gave you just slightly.
So, go ahead while I
believe. Okay. So I believe Kpro, you said Hooley asked specifically what my WWH was, right?
Yeah, at Santa that time, Cruz, only if you're comfortable with sharing.
Yeah. And the only reason I thought about it, but I'm pretty sure Jason moved away from this area, and he and I have discussed this a lot a year or more ago. But actually, the WWH was not Santa Cruz Lake. It was the two creeks that merged there at the bridge there in Condillo, the little village of Condillo. They converge and come down this really, really narrow canyon, dark canyon, and they come into Santa Cruz Lake. So the WWH was actually where the two rivers converged. that
Okay.
created Santa Cruz.
So the big
River.
takeaway there was the get in your car. That kind of was,
Right.
I don't know, a little. But you also can't start in the middle, and there's a million blazes. We've kind of heard those, and you can't back it in. I've heard him say that about. I think he told me you're addicted to boots on the ground, so you just find any blaze, and then you back in your WWH. And I do have to say, you love being an outdoor adventurer. So I don't know if you make up things. I don't think you do. I think you actually have a full solve. But I love the there's a million blazes, but there's only one WWH, and most of them are north of Santa Fe, et cetera. But I thought that was interesting that the blaze is not key. It is WWH that's key. And so let's now, if Mike, you're ready. You tell me when you're ready, Mike.
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. This is
I
something
hope.
that Cynthia and I will not be able to hear. Mike, hopefully you can hear it, so you stop it if it's not.
All right. If you guys are looking at the Zoom screen, you might be able to see it. You probably can't hear it, but let's see if it works. All right. All right. Give me a second. Let's spend a whole weekend on OBS. Okay, here we go, everybody. I got it turned up. Hopefully you can hear it. Here we go.
Say that again.
The starting location is important, you have said. Where do we start this poem? Is it in your driveway?
You start your chase by getting in your car and going to the first clue. That's what starts it. If you don't know where warm waters halt, you don't know anything.
Okay, so were you guys able to hear that or no?
No.
Basically, what Christy asked was, where do we start? Is it in your driveway? And that alludes to what you were just talking about, right, Cynthia?
Right. So
And-
could the chat room actually hear it?
Yeah, can you guys hear it? That would be a good question too.
I think they'd be telling us if they didn't. They're not talking about it.
Well, there's a
Come on,
delay.
guys.
That's why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a delay.
Yes. Okay. Davio said yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And basically, Forrest's answer was, well, where you start is you get in your car and you drive to the first clue.
Right.
So, Cynthia, you're saying that helps you with what? With what you were talking about before?
Yes, because when I was concerned that he might mean that to solve the poem, you have to start like the first stanza or maybe stanzas 5 and 6 in his driveway. But after the question that when Christy said, where do we start this poem? Is it in your driveway? And he said, you start the chase by getting in your car and going to the first clue. That's what starts it.
Right.
I don't think it starts necessarily in his driveway or Santa Fe, but he's basically saying you have to get in your car to get to the first clue. Which, I mean, and you know what, to Forrest, I don't think this is a no-brainer to him. I mean, I'm sure.
Right.
I bet if Forrest is watching this or watches this later, he's going to think, my God, this is common sense. How can we even be talking about this?
Well, here's a couple nuances that I want to throw out. But before we do that,
again, everybody.
I was going to say, before we do that,
yeah.
can you play it one more time?
Yeah.
And then just as you do that, after you do that, I want to make some logical jumps and see if everybody agrees. And then Logic Chaser, you have to do a video to see if the logic actually holds. He's so logical. And maybe Michael, I don't know, but people that are logical. So Mike, why don't you play it again? And then I want to weigh in on a couple of things that this means.
And we do have one question. It says, what is the date on this interview with Forrest? What was the actual date? I might even
3
have
weeks.
it.
I have it.
We don't need to give exact dates. It was
You
like
don't
3
want it?
weeks ago.
Okay.
No,
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Okay.
Well, you can give it. I just don't think it matters.
It was, you actually interviewed him November 4th. And November 4th is when you talked.
So about a month ago. All right, here's the clip. Let me play it again real quick. One of them days. All right, here we go. I'll turn it all the way up.
Say that again.
The starting location is important, you have said. Where do we start this poem? Is it in your driveway?
You start your chase by getting in your car and going to the first clue. That's what starts it. If you don't know where warm waters halt, you don't know anything.
Okay, so Go ahead, Kpro, and I'll give my takeaways from it as well.
Okay, so there's a few things. You can drive to the WWWH. That's one thing I take from this. So a lot of people think the WWWH, you have to rappel into, you have to take a helicopter into, you have to take a horse into. I believe from this quote, he doesn't say it exactly, but I'm using some logic to say he's saying you can pretty much get to it. There is a parking lot or somewhere you can take your car to. He's saying you can get out of the car at WWWH. Well, if you're getting out of your car at WWWH, and Mike and I disagree, and I'm fine with that, I think that means that's where you get out of your car and make the trips. That is my interpretation of this quote.
Well, mine is, and I guess maybe it's the same as what you just said, but for me, when he says where you start is you get in your car and you drive to the first clue, we know that the first clue is where warm waters halt. Where warm waters halt is a physical place. There's some people that don't even believe that. In other words, the first clue is a geographic location. And Forrest is saying get in your car and drive there. Why? Because you have to dip your toe in it. You've got to verify for yourself that the water's warm. You can't tell on a map if the water is warm to the touch. And I think it goes back to his dip your toe in it comment. You've got to drive there to know if it is physically warm waters. And I don't know if it was in the clip you just played, Cynthia, but there was one where he was talking to the reporter. I think it is the clip you just played, where he's like, I know those waters are cold. Where when you gave your where warm waters halt, he told the reporter, I know those waters are cold. Cynthia just tried to back end something.
The one under the bridge.
The one under the bridge, right? So what I believe Forrest means by this interview, and you guys can all make your own decision, is you've got to drive to the first clue to check it to see if it's warm. Begin it where warm waters halt. It's warm water. And it's a physical place you drive to. Okay.
Well, Toby just made a comment of he did not say, quote, you can drive. He said, quote, you have to drive.
Yeah, well, we asked him, where do you start it? I mean, he didn't say get in your car and drive to the home of Brown because you've already figured out, you know what I mean? He could have said that. He could have said, once you figure out the too far to walk part, you drive to the next part. But he said you have to drive to the first clue.
I know. What do you think? He thinks it's just first starting point and you keep on driving. I think that's where you're getting out of your car based on that quote. Maybe that's too much. Maybe I'm reading in too much to it.
So I actually typed out your question and his answer from a month ago. He said you start the chase by getting in your car and going to the first clue. That's what starts it. If you don't know where warm waters halt, you don't know anything. When he asked me later on, and maybe we're going to talk about this again near the end of the show, I talked to him later that same day. He asked me about that, or he asked me something, and I answered that I was surprised that he talked about getting in your car. And he looked at me and nonchalantly said, like, why is this even a big deal? The first thing you do is get in your car. How else would you get to the first clue? In none of these statements did he ever use the word drive. Now, I'm sure he's implying that you drive, but,
right.
But to him, you're in a car. He doesn't have to say drive. He just says, how else would you get to the first clue? The first thing you do is get in your car. And this is what he said to me, how else would you get to the first clue? So that, I mean, to me, he is telling you, I think you both are, I'm agreeing with both of you right now. You have to drive to the begin at where warm waters halt line is. He already said that's the first clue. So you have to drive to it. Now, one of you, Christy, is saying that she thinks that's where you actually get out and start walking down the canyon. And Mike, you said, what, you might still be driving? Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that it narrows it down. I'm not sure.
I believe you have to drive to the first clue, just like Forrest said. Why are you driving there? Because you need to find out if it's warm waters.
Yeah, and
then
I
you
agree.
Can figure out where it halts, right?
Yes. Yeah. Totally. I
and
agree.
Then there's a canyon down, but the line in the poem says not far but too far to walk. Maybe that means you get back in your car and drive to the home of Brown. I don't know. We'll know when we're actually there. Kpro, you don't think it does. You think it means once you park at the first clue, you walk all the way to the end. To the ninth.
I am starting. That's what and I'm probably taking a leap, but I don't have a solve that I'm confirmation biasing. I was kind of taking by that quote, and maybe it's too far. And many people in the room, including Search Dad Toby, says, I think you're reading too much into it. Like I'm thinking that's where you're parking your car, and he has said park your car, and then he makes 2 trips. So that means all 9 clues have to be within a mile. There I go. Boom.
And there
Drop
again,
the mic.
within 500 feet. How can you be at the first clue and you're 500 feet from the treasure, but you get 2 clues and then you're 200 feet? How can this be all stretched out if the first clue? So the first clue is the WW8, and you're within 500 feet. How can you still have to drive a long distance? I don't understand.
There's something with that not far but too far to walk. It's like a play on words, or there's something going on. But I will say, from the statements that we've shown from this interview clip, I don't know if this is where Forrest parked to hide the treasure. I can't say that. Forrest may have parked closer to the treasure chest at one of the other clues and just walked down to hide the treasure. I don't know that he parked at where warm waters halt. I can't say he did, and I can't say he didn't. There's not enough information. He said there's only one way to get there, because I think somebody asked him, I hate to just throw stuff off the top of my head, but one of the mysterious questions was that very question. They were like, did you have to go in the same way that we do following the 9 clues? And he said something about there's only one way.
Right.
So, but I don't know for sure if he parked where we do. In other words, when you put in below the home of Brown, I don't know if he got a shortcut to hide the gold in the chest. I don't know.
Okay, this is what, and Tom Sawyer brings up something just like you are. Forrest already said he took a sedan, parked, took 2 trips. How do you all forget that? Where did he take the 2 trips from? Many people think you have to drive from WWW8 to get to the Blaze, and that could be states away, 1,000 miles away, however many.
I don't believe that. Yeah.
There's something between 500 feet and 1,000 miles, but I think this kind of confirms to me that it's a lot more in close proximity than.
Yeah, the line is not far, but too far to walk. It's not far. Now, to me, that's a contradiction. If it's not far, why is it too far to walk?
Yeah. Because he was in his bare feet. Look how many times in the thrill of the chase he didn't have his shoes on. I can think of 2. The Cody thingy, the Buffalo, he walked home. And then when Skippy kicked him out of the car, he was in his socks, no shoes. So what if he's in his bare feet? That distance is a lot shorter then. Too far to walk.
And now Lori James is saying you don't park there, but after home of Brown. Come on. And then Toby is saying it makes no difference where he parked. Do you see how we're all interpreting this so differently? I am saying if there's only one WWWH and you have to know that one to go forward, why aren't we saying then that's where you park and you have to take that route? And that's where you're parking your car, and that's where you're taking the 2 trips.
I agree with Christy, but I don't have anything to back it up. I mean, I agree. I agree that it's all close together.
I'm going to look on Terry Scant. Let me see if I can find that question, because somebody kind of asked him that same question. Did you take the same route that we have to? And he said something like, there is only one way. There are no shortcuts. Right. So if I can find the actual quote, that makes it sound as if he went the exact same route that we are.
Yeah. I think he said there is no other way.
Yeah.
And Holy says you can't get to clues 1 and 2 and then walk past the other 7 if they're really far away.
Right. That's the other thing too. Yeah.
So this makes,
And so he has said walk quite a few times where they walk past the treasure. They walk past the next 7.
And I think the clues are in a confined area than what we think. That's true. But I still don't know if the first clue is where he parked or not. I'm just saying, I can't make that statement. It may be, it very well may be, but I don't have enough information.
No, I just did. Drop the mic.
Miss Lisa says, Kpro, you're making assumptions that could get in the way of finding the chest.
That is true. But you have to start somewhere, and you have to narrow down somewhere. So being in this, the many years that I have been in this, I am looking for a new solution to really refine. And I think Cynthia was there when I was like, Nez Perce, start over in Oregon, and you go through different states and thousands of miles. These types of quotes are making me think differently from where I was to maybe I need to refine a little and say, I'm just saying it now that I wouldn't rule out a couple of miles. I'm going to rule out 1,000 miles. I'm going to rule out 100 miles between clue 1 and clue 2. And, you know, that's
I could see it
where I'm
being
at.
within a mile. I kind of tend to agree with that. But Sassy says, Kpro, he said at the very first book signing, he got out of his car and he walked into the location twice. We all know that, and nobody's disagreeing with that. What we're trying to figure out from what the information we have is, did he park at the first clue and make those 2 trips?
Yes.
We
he
don't.
just said
I'm
it.
saying he did not just say that. He said us as searchers, we need to get in our car and drive to the first clue. I cannot say that Forrest parked at the first clue because I don't know. That's all. Did he? What? In other words, what clue number did Forrest park at in order to hide the treasure? I don't know if that's the same as the first clue. I hope it is, because this thing would be a lot in a much
and you
smaller
can't do
area.
this like Switzerland thing where you think it's both. Come on.
So, Mike, if you go back to what the question and his answer in November, he said you start the chase by getting in your car and going to the first clue. That's what starts it. If you don't know where warm waters halt, you don't know anything.
Right.
So
I agree with that.
I mean,
we need to drive to the first clue. I agree with that.
Okay.
I just don't know if he did when he hid the treasure. That's the only point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
I don't have enough information to say one way or the other.
Well, and Blue Fox says, no offense, Kpro, but you're in no position to rule anything out unless you solve some clues. No, I'm in a position to rule anything out I want because I am no one except for my own searcher that pays my own way to go boots on the ground. So I get to rule anything I want out because I am free to do that. Now, am I right? I am not saying I'm right. I'm probably wrong with enough of you saying, ooh, you're overstretching that. But there's certain things that I have ruled out by key quotes. I won't say this is a key quote, so I'm emphatic, but I won't say that there's that. I will never have a solve that has hundreds of miles between search locations. And I will, so from WWWH to the Blaze, I will never have that more than a mile.
And
I am allowed to do that. That's
right.
my,
It's opinion.
that is my prerogative. Yes, only my opinion, and that's it.
And Michael O'Connell agrees with you. He says clue 1 may be within walking distance of clue 9. I hope that's the case, personally. And I'm starting to lean toward that being the case. Just because of the quote I'm trying to think of where Forrest said, there's only one way. There's only one way. There are no shortcuts. So in other words, that may mean for him as well, there's only one way. You have to park at where warm waters halt, and you have to walk to the remaining 8 clues. When you get to the Blaze, you look down and there's a treasure chest. And that would also tie in with when he says some have solved the first 2 clues but went right past the other 7. Yeah. That would all tie in.
Well, and I need to also throw this out because now I'm being called arrogant. I don't believe I'm going to find the treasure chest. I don't believe that I have enough knowledge that I will over anyone else. That's why I'm taking stuff like this and not hiding it and being secret. I'd rather share with everybody and help a little bit. So I'm not being arrogant and saying, I have the solve. I am the lead searcher. I am not the lead searcher. I'm going to say it right out loud. I'm not even close to the lead searcher, but I'm having fun with it. And when I have an opinion, I get to own it. It's a wonderful thing to be empowered to say, this is what I think. But do you remember, Cynthia, do you remember when I was like, my beginning of my poem was in Oregon, and then there was a WWWH, and then it was a whole many miles until the canyon.
The 9 clues are all within the 4 states. They
right,
just
in
are.
my opinion.
Sorry.
No, don't
are.
be arrogant.
Know,
you're not allowed to have an opinion.
I'm
so,
Cowlazars.
Anyway.
I can. No.
I can't because I'm just Kpro.
William wants to know your opinion. Could you agree, regardless of the first few clues, that it's possible to be in a car 200 to 500 feet from the treasure chest? In other words,
that again?
He asked Cynthia Kpro Cowlazars.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Could you agree that regardless of the first few clues, that it's possible to be in a car 200 to 500 feet from the chest? So in other words, I think what he's getting at is when Forrest has said people have been within 500 feet, but they didn't know where they were at. Is that people in a car in a parking lot somewhere? If I park at where warm waters halt, it's possible I'm within 500 feet of the treasure chest.
And he also said that they arrived at the first clue. It was an aberration, and they didn't understand the significance of where they were. So sure, people have, and this is searchers, not just non-searchers. So yeah, searchers, according to Fenn, have been they've been at the first clue, didn't know it, and they were within 500 feet. So there again, that just shows you how obscure that warm water spot actually is.
Well,
And
we just sat with a searcher, and he was actually very respectful, but he is confident that the treasure chest is not in the 4 search states. So anyone that tells him, I guess if we have an opinion, we are arrogant in saying no. Like, I'm not going to tell him no. I'm just going to tell him that's not what I believe. But I think it's interesting that that comes up. So from this quote, you can drive there. It's
Another
water salt is the first clue, right?
Yes.
And do you think? Okay, so Cynthia, I'm going to ask you this: do you think you get back in the car, or do you think once you're at WWWH, you take your car to it?
That's a good question. Yeah.
So you're asking me, you get out at WWH, you go touch the water, you verify it is warm, so you go take it in the canyon down. Are you saying, so do I believe you drive down that canyon or walk down the canyon to the treasure? I don't know. Yeah. I will not rule out either one.
Well,
what do you lean? If you were a betting person, which one?
I bet that you walk there. I think you park your car once at the WWH like he did, and then you walk to the treasure, and then you walk back to the car.
Like he did. But okay, let's say when you park at WWH, the first clue, you're walking the rest of the way. Then what does put in below the home of Brown mean? I thought it meant park. But if it doesn't mean park, if you're already walking, are you getting into water? Does put in mean water of some kind?
I have crossed many a small creek, some of the big creeks that I fell on my ass as I crossed, not because they were difficult, but because I'm old. So put in, that's definitely a water term. If you're a canoeist, kayaker, or a rafter fisherman, put in is definitely a boating term. I've used it like my Omega water crossing. You can actually just step across those rocks in the shape of the Omega there, depending on the time of year.
I do have to say, I'm going to throw out Sass.
I don't know. Mike, I don't know.
Right. Well,
but it's too far to walk. Not far, but it does. That's the one that's perplexing. That might be what we're all missing, which we're going to talk about later, because Forrest does talk about that in our interviews. But what's the one thing we're all missing? But that's
too
the hard
far
part.
To walk for whom? Too far to walk for who?
Forrest?
Was he a toddler? Was he at Fishing Bridge and his dad carrying him and holding his hand when he was? They started going to Fishing
you think
Bridge.
It's in a reference?
What if this was a spot that is special to him because his dad took him there when they started going to Fishing Bridge when he was 2, and I believe they camped at Fishing Bridge until he was 5 or 6. So those would have been some pretty important years for Forrest to bond with his dad and spend time with his dad. What if he wrote this poem? Well, not the whole poem. Maybe that one line indicates when he was a really tiny tyke, a toddler. I don't know.
Kind of like as I've gone alone in there. I think that might be a indicator of maybe the time reference.
I don't know. So I try not to rule anything out. I just don't think it's as. I think actually most of the poem is pretty literal, and that's literal too. You just have to understand who the not far but too far to walk. Who is he referring to for that too far to walk? Who does he mean there? Or at what age? Actually, I think it's more about him and his life and his age.
Well, if too far to walk means you physically cannot walk to it, what would it? Well, how could you get there other than walking? Now, it's not swimming. Nobody needs to swim anywhere. But if you can't, if it's too far to walk, well, but I think that's ridiculous in my opinion. Now, you could say wade. If I'm in ankle deep water, am I still walking across the creek? Yeah, right.
Yeah, but see, that's the cool thing about the other question on Jenny's site. I think it was where the guy asked him if he used any other types of transportation. I'm totally paraphrasing. And Forrest's answer was about the prevaricating if he answered in the positive, and the other word if he answered in the negative. So he basically didn't say yes or no. Did he use another method? And what I like, so the good thing about the car thing, we now know he did not fly in his plane when he hit it. He isn't telling people to fly there. Take a plane, a train, a horse, a donkey.
He told us take a car.
He's telling you to take a car. Well, a lot of people thought you needed to get there like by a train to the first clue. And no, he's actually telling us now you can take a train and then hike from the train station. I don't know. He is telling us you can take your car to the first clue.
So I just was sitting here thinking about it, and being an inner city kid where I grew up, if I'm standing on the side of a small creek and we walked from our car down to this creek, and now we have to walk to the other side of the creek, that wouldn't be walking. In other words, if I have to walk through water, to me that's not
Right.
walking. I'm in water now. So
I agree.
I think that leads a little more credence to the put in actually being you need to cross some kind of a small stream.
That's what I
somewhere.
like. I like that you wade across the stream.
And that might be why Forrest said, I'm not going to answer it. Because if I say, yes, you walk, people might be like, well, that means no water. But
Right.
you're walking across the creek. And he didn't want to
Yes.
say wading. He didn't want to use a different word. So he said, it's not far, but it's too far to walk. You've got to walk
Yes.
across the stream. And just thinking about it, if I have to walk through water, that's not walking. If somebody told me, oh, we're going to walk somewhere, and it ended up being through a creek, I'd be like, why didn't you tell me we had to go through a creek? Even
Yeah.
though we're still walking, it's different than just walking somewhere. What do you think, Kpro?
Well, I think that potentially is the reason he wouldn't answer Sean Dotson's question, which was from the flip side, do you have to wade over any water or creek or any sort of
And he
water?
wouldn't answer.
If he would have answered, so he wouldn't
Yeah,
answer.
we need to look it up.
And him not answering, it would have been helpful for his safety aspect if he would have answered. So the reason he's not answering it, even if it's just 1 inch of water, I don't think he wants to flat out lie. So
Okay.
I think that's enough.
Here is one quote, and I think this is the one we're talking about. This is from Terry Scant. I looked up the word prevaricating. Forrest, you said you made 2 trips from your car to hide the treasure. Besides walking, did you use any other method of transportation to get back and forth between the car and the hide? Besides walking. This is Forrest's response. Your wording of the question prompts me to pause and wonder if I can answer it candidly yet correctly. Were all the evidence truly known and I answered in the positive, you might say I was prevaricating by some definitions of the word. And if I answered in the negative, you might claim that I was quibbling. So I will stay quiet on that subject. Thank you for the question. I'm starting to lean a little bit more that we need to walk through some kind of water. Because is it really walking if you have to go through water? If somebody tells me we're
didn't
just
he
going to
make
walk
some
somewhere,
comment
I would
about
be pissed
waders?
that you didn't tell me that I needed to go through water. What's that?
Didn't he talk about waders at one time? And
Yes.
Yeah. So I
was
think
it-
there's some sort of water. I don't think it's this high water. I think it's yeah.
Well, but here's the question. If it is a small stream, depending what time of year you go because of runoff, couldn't that stream become higher or lower depending what time of the year you go? Or are there
Yes.
any streams, let's say in New Mexico, that they're just a little trickle no matter what time of year it is? I don't know. I'm asking.
Yes.
I think anywhere. I used to live on acreage, and depending on the time of year and the runoff, I would get anywhere from a foot to nothing. Literally, it's dry. So I think that's everywhere. Greg Keller says, but at what point do we cut the book strings? Okay, you guys are just being funny now. We're not cutting book. So, yeah. Okay, so I don't think, again, this is, yes, Michael.
No, I was just going to say, if I'm just trying to think about big picture of what we're talking about here. You drive to where warm waters halt, which is clue 1. You park your car. If you're walking to the blaze from that point, and let's say it's within a mile or within 500 feet or however you want to word it, when I see put in below the home of Brown, to me, that not far but too far to walk, put in below the home of Brown. If we are going in water, I guess that could answer the last stanza. Your effort will be worth the cold. If you're going to walk through water, wouldn't that be cold? I mean, that might be the answer to if you are brave and in the wood, and then your effort will be worth the cold.
But that's way at the end. That's after you've already picked up. That's after the blaze.
Right. But he's saying your journey that got you there. If you were brave and in the wood, you had to have been brave and in the wood to get there, and your effort was worth the cold. That water was cold that you had to walk through to get in there and to turn around and to come back out.
Oh, I like
Maybe.
JK's question. Could he have done some fishing while hiding the treasure chest? So maybe he's just chilling. He's like, the reason that he's in some water is not that he had to. He's just chilling in his fishing spot because he likes fishing. What do you think, Cynthia?
I think you got the answer to that during your interview too, and that's not the case. Oh, sorry. Am I not allowed to say that?
No,
I guess not.
we're not
And
Okay, sorry.
we are going to play a Douglas
I didn't say
Preston
what his
clip.
answer was. I just
before
said
we
he
get off.
answered it.
I'm giving a really
Can I
hard time.
Can I talk about the other ones?
No, don't give her margaritas, my friends. No,
I'm not
because
drinking.
I know, but I mean ever. You're never allowed to have a margarita until the documentary's out. We know that won't happen. So
Well, let's talk about what he talked about the lead searcher. Then that's even better.
No, because the lead searcher's in the room and is giving me a very hard time about how he's the lead searcher. So I will love playing that clip, and that will pertain to that person. Okay, so okay. I think in general, I think for most people, or at least some people, this isn't groundbreaking enough. It is WWWH is the first clue. There's still some people that still say that's not.
If you don't know that, you don't know anything.
You should
That's
pick another
Forrest
hobby.
saying that, not me.
Yeah, pick another hobby. Go play canasta. But you can drive at least to WWWH, so it's somewhere nearby a park, and maybe not right at a parking lot, but I do think it's nearby. Do you think it's a tourist attraction?
Are you asking me? Because he answered this too.
Nah, no, he didn't. Don't start
Yes,
that.
he sure did. But come on, Cynthia, you don't have to say where you got it from. It just in general. What do you think, Cynthia? Oh, you're killing me. Yes, we got some.
He has said that people will be surprised at the location. No, that's a quote that he said. Well, I don't know what surprised means, but I think it's a lot closer in a more populated area than maybe people think.
I agree with that. I don't think it's remote. I think it's going to be very isolated from whatever's around it, whether it's fishing, hiking. I don't know. Right. I think it's going to be isolated, but I don't think it will be remote. I don't think it will be all that far. And I think that's why people might be surprised, because it's not near as hard as they're making it out to be.
Yeah. I think to simplify is something just to focus on again and again and again. And we did talk about that as well. Okay. So this will be a nice segue to Cynthia. What do you think's coming in this off season as we are all looking at these types of things and these rabbit holes that are coming, and we have the mayhem of Mondays in the kitchen sink. So what's going to happen in this off season?
Is this where I'm allowed to talk about all the projects that are taking place? Okay.
Yeah. What do you got going on, Cynthia?
I can't talk about all of them, but the ones that I think I am allowed to talk about that I've been involved with, I think all of these. So there's an Australian TV show that I was part of the interview with Forrest that took place in May. I mean, my God, and they still have not released this. I have been in contact with the producer of the show, and I asked him when. So I think it was in October when I wrote to him again, and I said, when did they have a projected date yet when they were going to air it? And he said, hopefully by the end of the month, and that would have been November. So here, November has come and gone, and he said he would notify me whenever it's available, and he has not yet. So, and because I was part of their show, I signed a contract where I am not allowed to talk about anything in this interview until they air it. So we're just waiting for that to air, and anything that they don't, it was a very, very short interview with Forrest. I believe it was 4 or 5 minutes at the most.
But is there good stuff in it?
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God. Well, I thought so. Anything I haven't heard before is worth hearing. So there was stuff that I hadn't heard before from Forrest.
In this short interview, there's something you haven't heard before from Forrest?
Yes.
What you said?
Several
And
things.
Can you say what it is or no?
No, not yet. Well, one of them actually was about getting in your car again, but we just talked about that because he said the same thing to you. So you guys were able to talk about that. No, they have a few other things, but there again, it's not earth shattering enough. If it was, well, maybe I'm the stupidest treasure hunter there is. I mean, I don't know. I had this information in May. And I've searched all in 2019, a lot of boots on the ground, and I have no idea where it is. So maybe it's, I don't think it's earth shattering. It's new. It's just something new that Forrest has said. Will it help you find it? Hell no. I don't think so. it's just nice to get something new every now and then.
Yeah, and that's why
and
we're
there
showing these
again-
clips. Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk about that just for another second here. Whatever they do not put out in their show, I will come on Christy's show again if she'll have me, and I will release whatever the Australian TV show does not put out. That way we all have that same info. But then there's some other goodies that I don't have dates on either. So there was 2 guys named Adam and Dave, and they do podcasts. And I think they generally do a series of them. And they did one on Forrest Fenn, and I actually took them on a search with me in Wyoming. I mean, I actually took them boots on the ground to Sulphur Lake. So then they went to Function at the Junction, and I believe they talked to people there. They also attended February, and they talked to people there. I thought that they were aiming for like the end of the search season, or at least by the end of this year, to broadcast the podcast. I have heard nothing from them. So I don't know when that's coming out, but I do know that they had the weekend of February. They spent half a day with Forrest at his home. So I know that they have talked to Forrest. Whether or not it's anything, well, everything's good. So there's got to be something worth listening to. Then Jens was also at February. He's making a documentarian. Yeah, documentarian. He is making a documentary. I know he interviewed a lot of people at Fenbury. I think maybe he's been interviewing searchers all along. I'm not really sure where Jens is at with his. Hopefully someday he will put his information out. I know he spent like a day and a half, I believe, with Forrest. And Jens has some nice little tidbits too, because I have also interviewed with Jens later. Then we have some other things, and then we have yours, Christy and Mike, the big one.
Well, and we said we were going to call Mondays Kitchen Sink Mondays. Is that what it was, Kpro, or no?
Kitchen Sink, Kevin. Kitchen Sink Mondays.
Kitchen Sink
Mania.
Mondays.
I don't know.
Because as we show these clips, everybody's going to take it their own interpretation. And that's why we wanted to show these clips and not just say Forrest said this and talk about it, because people want to know, they want to see it from Forrest himself, because they might be like, you took it out of context, it's the wrong way, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So Kitchen Sink Mondays on the Hint of Riches channel. Every Monday we will show a new clip from the interview we have. And before we sign off tonight, we'll show a clip of something Douglas Preston said about the interview we did. Yeah, so that'll be fun. So everybody make sure you subscribe to the channel. I see we're at, 824 right now. Sorry about the issues at the beginning. Toby, if you're around, I'll send you the Zoom invite. Maybe we can work out some of these
824
issues
what?
right now. Subscribers.
Oh, I thought you meant people in the room. I'm like, I think that's way off. Well,
Yeah.
wait. So
No, we're not done. I'm just saying, apologizing for the issues in the beginning of the show and telling everybody to hit thumbs up for showing these clips and not waiting. Documentary might not be out for a year, people. You never know. Cynthia just said how all these delays happen. People film, and then 9 months later, you still don't see anything. So at least we're showing some of what we have while we're trying to work
somebody
out
said in the room, all the Debbie Downers, hi guys, it's unfair that you guys got something. There has been cutting room floor footage for years and years and years. Isn't it nice that we're at least going to be sharing it? And somebody said it's unfair that Forrest gave you this collection. Let me be clear, my friends. Forrest gave me no collection. I bought a collection, and somebody actually went up on the forums when I was getting bashed of this isn't fair that she has it. You are able to buy things. So if you want to go up on eBay and buy things, you can get these things. So I just want to share it with everybody. So rather than taking it as a Debbie Downer of, oh my gosh, somebody got BIP who paid for it in our free economy, they should be like, oh, cool. She actually turned to this certain page and actually showed whatever illustration. That's hopefully where we're at. But we're not going to talk about the exceptions, because I know the majority of get it, just like Cynthia was a part of several of them that you will hear and see. And so this is going to be, I think, going to be probably the most active off season. I've only been in it, 3 or 4 or 5 years now. But what do you think? Do you think this is going to be the most, if all these things come out? Well, based on, who has the most groundbreaking quotes of any of them? Cynthia.
Just put Cynthia on the spot.
I think you guys do.
Well, I asked her this.
You have at least more than, you have more than one. You have
Yeah.
a multitude.
Well, and I will say from the searcher's perspective. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And from me being a veteran searcher I just completed 7 years of searching for myself, you guys have the most new information, I think, to put out there, to publish. And I just want to address the person that put I can't read the chat and do this too.
Right.
But Christy, you mentioned someone said something negative about a few people that do the media or whatever. We get this. This person needs to understand. I don't know who the person was, and I don't know how long they've been in the chase. Dale has been in this since 2010. Dale is a guy that Forrest has been so close to for 10 years. You all need to give Forrest a lot more credit that he is not leaking anything that is significant to anybody, that we can go find it. So if this bothers you, find something else to do, because this is the way it's been for 10 years and it ain't going to change. I mean, Dale goes to Forrest home and does the interviews and blah, blah, blah. And if you get off your friggin' high horse and stop whining and moaning, go to Dale's YouTube channels. No, Dale shares it. He goes there. He does these interviews. He did them after Fenn Breeze. I think there was at least 2 or 3 years. He would go to Forrest's home, and he made the best interviews of all. And these people that are whining about us, I bet, have never even gone and taken the time and watched all these interviews. And they are some of the best interviews that you could watch and find out who Forrest the man really is. They used to be on Vimeo. I think Dale moved all his stuff to YouTube. So I imagine if you go to his forum, I think from there you can get to the link to all these interviews. But anyway, stop whining about us and go get the good stuff. You got to work.
Well, and I think it was maybe this is kind of the regurgitated Debbie Downers of that. You know, they went boots on the ground. They didn't find it. They thought they were lead searcher. But the cool part is, I think Forrest said it perfect. I think it was maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago when he said, if I were to hand it to somebody, there's like 17 people in line before Dale.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Zoe. It would be, Shiloh. It would be Creighton. It would be.
And that's because we have a treasure hunt where the person who hid the treasure, he talks to people. He likes to talk to people. He likes to talk to people and says, "Where was your warm water salt?" And then when you tell him, he says, "Well, did you dip your toe in it?" He says these things to people. That's just how it is. I mean, he says different things to different people. And he does interviews.
And then for the newer searchers in it too, who don't know the whole history of the chase, Forrest, for the first 4 or 5 years, he met searchers about every day in the summer, spring, summer, and fall, either at the bookstore, downtown subscription, or in his home. He has talked one-on-one with hundreds of searchers in the last 10 years. So if you think all of a sudden he's given us info, he's been talking to searchers for a real, real, real long time. And that's why I'm saying, give Forrest, cut him some slack. He is not telling us anything that makes enough of a difference for us. My God, Dale. If Dale hasn't found it in 10 years, Forrest isn't talking.
Right.
Well, and the cool part is too, things like some people are going like, duh, of course you can drive to WWWH.
Yeah.
And some are going, WWWH isn't even the first clue.
Right.
And everywhere in between. So I don't think, again, it's going to be, it's going to just be, again, let's just have a little fun in the off season. So when we look at BIP, this was not a stand on Forrest's dog and his story about his dog passing. This is a cool little story that there's only 16 of these in the entire country. And I know where 4 of them are. I don't know where the other ones are. This could just be fun. So anyway.
Cynthia, a shout out to Czar, whose birthday is today. You should have told me. I could have went and did
Happy birthday, Czar. Oh,
But
he probably says something with other people.
He says, Cynthia, when you come to World Series of Fenn, bring copies of your book because he would like to buy one. And that's a very good idea. I will buy one as well. So I want you to sign it. So make sure you bring some copies of your book, okay? For World Series of Fenn in February. Yeah.
Sure.
And what was somebody said, what was the postmark? What was the Post-it note about? Don't be a butthole all about.
Oh, so what I do whenever I'm on like your show or AGK, I have little, I put Post-its across the top of my screen for me. So I'm saying,
you're telling
I'm telling myself,
I
don't
see.
be a butthole, don't cuss, and don't say, oh my God.
I got you.
Because, these little Post-its are for me.
Oh, okay. I
Like,
thought you
don't
needed to
cuss.
tell the room that because
No.
absolutely the room needed to know all those things.
It was me. That was a note for me, and especially the don't cuss one.
And talking about all these other interviews and these other things that have not come out yet or have come out yet, I will say I think ours is different in that me, Kpro, and Cynthia were the ones who came up, with the questions, along with Alan. I think he helped. But I think
and Toby and Shelley.
And Toby and Shelley. Toby and Shelley. Yeah. Shout out to AGK.
Oh, and Jason. Cutie Pie, Jason Eunice.
Oh, yes. Jason was there too. That's right. But I will say we came, especially, that's right. Jason, Toby, and Shelley really helped reforming the question to get more of an answer. But I will say that I think we came up with some questions that interviewers who are new to the chase wouldn't have thought of. We had
or knew where to dig down, where to kind of take. I think I pushed the line too much. I will say Cynthia and Mike did not think so, and they got a little frustrated. I won't say frustrated. They got a little ambitious at the end and said, and I want you to know, Alan told me I was exactly right not to push too hard because he could have shut down, and he wasn't answering a couple of the questions. And then these two went crazy, and they got the best quote, but they had to tag team him. It was awesome. We're going to, hopefully, I don't know, we're going to see.
Are you allowed to use that one? Because that's the best one of all.
Oh, we will use it. I don't know when. But
are you allowed to use it in one of your shows?
Right.
In the next month or something? Or
I hope so. I believe so.
Why not?
Yeah. Well, that's one that I will say, because you guys have not been in all the meetings, that there's ones that are on the bubble, because I don't think, because it was 2 questions from Mike, 2 questions from you, I tried to ask it, and then I chimed in and said, see, you thought I was bad. I don't know if we can chop it to use it. It's actually the best quote, but if we can't chop it to use it in the documentary, we will definitely, that's the one we'll definitely share, and they will see.
I got it right here. Can I read it?
Oh, take it down. People will zoom into that.
All these quotes are subjective. What might be huge to me, another searcher might. No, I think even that one. There's some people who will be like, I already knew that. You didn't know that?
No,
but to hear it from Forrest himself, I think, is a difference. But all these clips that we're going to show in the upcoming Mondays, Kitchen Sink Mondays, they're subjective. Some people tonight are probably like, of course you drive to Warm Waters Hall. Why wouldn't you? But other people, that may have totally killed their solve. So there are people, I think, that may have realized that Warm Waters Halt is wrong because maybe you can't drive to it. Maybe it's somewhere that's inaccessible, something like that.
So what Tom Sawyer said, you can only push Forrest so much. Yes. And here's the thing, because I can is saying people are allowed to express their frustrations without being talked down to. Not here. Like, this is going to be a safe place for people to be. If you want to be negative, that's what other places are for. No, you don't. This is not a free and equal society. We try to make it fun and uplifting and all of those things. If you want to call me pathetic, if you want to call me different names, if you want to, and we delete all the comments, you go elsewhere. There's channels for that, and we're not one of them. So I do believe that we try to give as much of an equal footing. But if that's all that's going to happen is negative, or Forrest is terrible because he's given secret hand, go elsewhere. That's where I'm at, just because I do have to say it grinds on you after a while. So I am up for generic, but not personal. And it's gotten personal even with Forrest. Don't get personal with Forrest of he does this because of this or that. No, because it's not allowed, or it is allowed, just elsewhere. And that's the same thing for the forum. I did have to ban somebody today that decided to go personal with me. Okay, I took advantage of Forrest and his dog. I didn't even know BIP was coming out. And why would I do that to Forrest? And they kind of, okay. And it's called Bye-Bye Sugar Pie. It's okay. You go elsewhere. There's other forums that thrive on that. And if that's where you want your energy, focus on that. Okay.
So, question for Cynthia. I think this is a good one from Czar.
Sure.
Cynthia, after hearing the start in your car, go to clue 1, does that make you want to get back to New Mexico at all?
No, but there might
Liar!
be something else.
There's something else that makes you want to get to New Mexico?
There might be.
Uh-oh.
Okay, wait,
Well-
wait. I know this answer. So, and is it in one of our clips?
So there's something in the interview we did that makes you want to start looking back in New Mexico. Is that what you're saying?
It makes me want to look again harder than I wanted to before I heard it.
Then we
I
need to
don't
talk
know.
offline to see if we can show it, because that would be a cool one to show and talk about. Because
Always-
I'm not sure which one you're referring
Yeah.
to. But
Christy and I already talked about this in a lot of
Oh.
detail. So, Mike, she's holding out on you. So forget.
Okay,
So
do you want to know why?
I'm kicking you out as my partner now. I'm going back to Christy as my partner.
That's
Right.
why. Because the day that you guys search partnered up, and I was sitting there like, maybe I'm not sharing everything, Michael.
So
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
there, I hate to bring it up because now I got to find the video, but there was a video that was put out, I'd say, in the last 3 weeks, where it's a clip of, it's a radio interview with Forrest, and this is when one of the I almost said lead searchers, one of the searchers had passed away on a search, and somebody asked Forrest, well, are you going to end it? And he was, back then, he was like, I don't know yet. I'm still thinking about it.
Mhm.
And when the interviewer said, well, if you were to end it, what do you have to do? How would you end it? And Forrest said, I would get in my car and I would drive to the treasure chest and I would retrieve it. Hearing that, and those were his exact words, and I'm gonna have to look it up. But Forrest said, I would get in my car and I would drive to the treasure chest. Does that make you lead more toward New Mexico? That he could just get in his car and go drive to it and pick it up?
Was this when one of the people died searching?
Yes.
So this
Yes,
was like
it was.
either 2016 or 2017.
Right. It's an old interview. Somebody just happened to put it back up.
does not make me think it's in New Mexico. It was something during your interview that Christy and I talked about that it's like, wow, I got to rethink this.
Well, and between
Yeah, I
that
don't know.
and Kpro has been open. He is a searcher. Okay, so here's what I have. I'm believing in Wyoming right now. Mike's in Montana, I think, partnering up secretly with Cynthia. And my son is in New Mexico. Do you see the problems that I have? These are my problems. I don't know what to do. And so I'm open. I will say I'm still open. I'm refining a potential solve. I caught something in Wyoming. I don't know if it's going to pan out completely, but yeah. And Richard, John Bobbitt is up in Colorado. So I kind of stay away from there because I think if anybody's going to get it, the sacrifices he's made, part of his foot got amputated. It is crazy. So I'm going to leave Colorado to him. So, okay. So let's play the quote, the Douglas Preston quote that we're going to ask at the end of every show, one of these, if Douglas Preston has said something. He has said something and we're going to play it in relation to all of the quotes that will be presented to you or in the documentary. Is this the quote that he's referring to? So, and a bunch of people are saying Kpro's and I want to give a shout out to Jim S. He sent something. We did a show just before this. Thank you for the present to Kpro. Kpro talks about what is the length between first clue to last clue, and we'll have a video up after this. It'll probably be tomorrow. So I just wanted to say thank you. You guys are the kindest people in the world to my son, and I wanted to say thank you because he is so pumped to get something, and he's such a shy kid, and he's talking on a camera, which is awesome. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
All right, here it is. And Cynthia, we'll tell you what it is. I think you already know, but we'll tell you what it is after. So
I have it.
Kitchen Sink Mondays. We'd like you guys to know which clip you think Preston is referring to. Here we go.
I'm going to say this, that in what Forrest just said now, sitting in that chair, I believe a very significant clue was said. But I'm not going to say what it is.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's add a little mystery to this.
Something new that no one has gotten before.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to play it again, and you guys look at Forrest's face. Does he look a little rattled? This is the first thing I noticed tonight when I was queuing this up. Let me rewind it here, and let me play it one more
Cynthia,
time.
this is where Douglas says there is one thing that never has come out before in this interview.
Yeah, all right. Watch Forrest's face, everybody, when Douglas says this.
That in what Forrest just said now, sitting in that chair, I believe a very significant clue was said, but I'm not going to say what it is.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's
add a little mystery to this.
Something new that no one has gotten before.
Okay.
All right, that's it. You guys can make of that what you will, but for Kitchen Sink Mondays, we want you to know if you guys think, have we played what Douglas was referring to? We don't know what Douglas was referring to. He wouldn't say.
Nope.
But I think I know what it is. But you guys will have to make your choice, your decision as we go through Mondays and you see the clips.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting stuff, though, I think. But Forrest's face,
So-
Forrest, I think, was like, what? Don't say that. You know, and then he said, thank you. And Douglas said, I'm not going to say it.
Well, I'd like each of us to answer. Do you believe tonight's clip that we showed was what Douglas was referring to about the one hint that's never been released? Oh my gosh, drop the mic. Cynthia?
No, because like I had told you before we went live, I saw Forrest later that day, and the first thing he asked me is, "What did I think Douglas meant? What was the hint he gave out?" And I said to Forrest that I thought it had to do with Forrest saying that the first thing you do is you get in your car to get to the first clue. How else would you get to the first clue? You have to get in your car. When I said that to Forrest, he just looked at me with his typical poker face. And like, it is common sense, obvious. How could that even be a hint? So I do not think that was the one. There are a lot of good ones in that interview, and I just don't think that. I think what you guys talked about tonight was the least significant of any of the new things I've heard. I think tonight's was like, it was a good one to start with because, yeah, it was something a little bit new about the first thing you do is get in your car to get to the first clue. I think that is, I've never heard him, well, I have heard that. I think this is the first time it's been publicly talked about, but I think it's the least significant of all the good stuff from your questions and his answers.
So Mike, yes, no?
Well, a lot of people in chat are saying, how would Douglas know? Douglas must know what the clues are to know. Hang on, I'll explain. I'll give you my thought. In other words, people are saying, well, how does Douglas know what the clues are if he doesn't know where it is or whatever? I think all Douglas is saying is that he heard Forrest say something he's never heard them say before in an interview. And I think I know what it is, and I hope we can show that clip. Somebody just said, well, is it going to be in the documentary? I don't know what Douglas was referring to. I know what I think it is. And yes, hopefully we're going to show it here one of these Monday nights. But would you agree with that, Cynthia, that it's not that Douglas knows something, it's just he heard Forrest say something he's never heard him say before?
Exactly. I agree with that. Douglas heard Forrest say something that he has never heard Forrest say before.
And is it true that you heard him say something that you've never heard him say before?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we both looked, we
More
both
than
knew
one.
when it happened. We looked at each other.
Oh my
like,
God,
okay,
yeah. It's like, yes.
Right. And that was basically
Something
the question
new.
that me and Cynthia asked. So, all right. So
Yeah.
we just said what it was. Sorry, Kpro.
No, if you did, I will beat you up
All
because I think that's going to be in the documentary.
So in my opinion, no, this clip was not it. What do you think?
Okay.
Christine?
I say no to this one, and but I do think it's informational. I just don't think it's. I think there's going to be a couple that I would say half the room would go, at least not like
Yeah,
the one,
it's
but like,
subjective.
wow, that's something I haven't heard before. I think that will be interesting. So let me tee up what we were going to do at the beginning, but I wanted to get into some content since we had some technical difficulties. What we're going to do is each week we're going to play that clip from Douglas, and we're going to tee up at about the 8-minute mark. That's when we're going to we'll get people in the room, we'll do some introductions, that sort of thing. And then we're going to go to the specific quote from Douglas or Forrest. And then we're going to spend about 30, 40 minutes talking about it, maybe longer, depending on the week. And then we'll get into, at the end, all the other stuff. And so that's how we're going to do each week when we do something like this. And it's going to be Mondays.
Right.
It's going to be on my channel. Subscribe because I would like to get to a marathon. I will not do a marathon until we get to 1,000 because I want to go mobile with my son on doing some treasure hunting. Some of the stuff that you guys have sent, he's like really anxious, and we can't do that before that. Gary, we are. Yeah, we are still interviewing searchers, but we think there's one interview that I have yet to secure, but we think we already have we had about 30 searchers volunteer, give me their stories, etc. It is not that you are not like interesting enough, etc. There's a specific set of storylines that we're trying to go down. And here's the thing that you might not know with a documentary. There's different ways that we can advertise this or try to take it to the next level. And one of them, if we get a series, then we're going to need like the bigger community. There are some specific stories that we wanted to hit during the storyline because we hit it during the interview. So that's the reason for it. But anyway, so yes, we are still interviewing right now, but we think we already have that line. We're really at the point of editing, bringing together. I have contacted those. I am going to be flying around the country, traveling the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping then we take the Christmas break. I don't know how long it takes. I am not the editor. God knows I'm not the editor and person that technically brings it all together. I don't know how long that will take, but that'll be the last piece. Then things go kind of dark when it comes to what's actually been pitched. We have gotten some interest already, which is really interesting to me. So we have that kind of in work, but that's kind of the storyline at this point. Okay, Mike, what am I missing?
I'd just say I'd love to have a different guest on every Monday to get their take on the clip when we play it. Now, Cynthia already knew what we were going to play, but if we could have somebody on, and so if you're interested in doing that, just email me or Kpro. I'm not saying we're going to let you on, but it would just be interesting to have a searcher on, and then we play the clip and we get their take on it.
Well, what I think would be really interesting too is if we get the phone calls going. Cynthia, we know is going to give information. There's not going to be any switcheroos or anything like that. That's why I loved having, and it's Cynthia, so we love having Cynthia on.
Yeah.
But having an unknown person on, I think during a time that we're putting something significant out there is too much of an unknown. Wouldn't it be cool right now to take top 20 calls, you only get 30 seconds. What do you think? And people would say, nothing burger. And then okay, next. And somebody says, well, have you thought about this? And there's another quote or whatever it is.
And by unknown, I didn't mean unknown searcher. I mean, have Toby on, have Copper Dan on, have Joe Lewicki on, have anybody, that type thing. But we'll see. But every Monday we'll show a clip here on the Hint of Riches. Make sure you subscribe. We're at 825. Make sure you thumbs up the video. Again, I apologize for the issues in the beginning, especially when it was a different link than what everybody was waiting on.
Yeah, maybe they all seem to find us. Yeah, William, you don't curse too much. Oh, just you wait, though. Okay, so here's what we're going to do from here. Usually on Thursdays is over on Mike's channel, and we're going to be talking about the poem and TTOTC. This Thursday, Ma's in town. So because Ma's in town, Mike's going to go hang with Ma, which I love. So I'm going to do a additional show on BIP and $17 per inch that references BIP. I have gotten about 30 questions, requests for screen captures, requests for information. Do you have anything else regarding BIP? Will I also look in wherever? Absolutely, I will, but let's do it together, because here is something that I think really interesting, and I already shared this with Cynthia, but I want to share this with everybody. But these are the kind of things as everything percolates in the head. So we know that he said he stopped at 8 and then started on page 9 of the rivers.
A river runs through it.
So literally between page 8 and 9, and I'm going to show this. Do you notice how clever I am about trying to leave clues? That is page 18 and 19 of BIP. Is that a coincidence? Sure, it can be, and that's called kitchen sink Christie right there. But I do think it's interesting. 8, 9, he literally talks about embedding clues within a book on page 8 and 9 of BIP. Did you also know? Well, there's a couple of other things that I've done some additional research. So bring all your questions. The other thing that I will do, and some of you think this is a rabbit hole, and I'm fine with it. You don't have to be a part of it. You can go on your merry way and go be a Debbie Downer on whatever website that you want to. But some of you have asked, Can I take the page whatever page, Gypsy Magic, page 43, and overlay it to a certain version of the book to see if there is any discrepancies? Absolutely, I will. I have done that between 5 and 6. That's the 5th printing and the 6th printing, page by page. I will share those specifically, but we will leave 10 minutes for that specifically if you have something specific. It's kind of like Toby. He has the digitized version of the book. He would do those searches. I will do that for you. I have that ready because, like Mike says, I'm crazy. Yeah, I did it. But I'm crazy. I'm fine with that. I'm kitchen sink Christy.
Well, it gives us something to talk about. It is the off season, and it's a way for searchers to get together and talk. So sure.
If you say this is the one with the different ISBN number, if you say I have printing 9, is there any difference between printing 9's page 47? Can you look? And I'll overlay it. And especially page 99. I know that's a big one. Gypsy Magic. I think that's a big one. There's a couple of other big ones. So anyway, that is what we'll do on Thursday. Have some fun with it. So big things coming up. World Series of Fenn is coming up. Valentine's Day, Las Vegas, searchers with your loved one. I'm going to have Mike and Cynthia there.
Chaseopoly tournament, all kinds of stuff. So maybe we'll even show some of these clips. You never know.
Yeah. And if Toby's not there, I'm going to be offended. That's all I'm saying.
Toby, you got to be there.
Yeah.
How much coffee has Kpro had tonight?
I don't drink coffee. I cannot. I know this is shocking. I cannot have caffeine after the noon cutoff because I kind of get wound up.
Somebody, it might have been Hooley, but somebody asked, are we going to get more Forrest Fenn clips? Yes, every Monday, but no more tonight. We're only going to do 1 per show. Maybe 2 if I could talk Kpro into it. So yeah, next Monday we'll be back. I'll be back. I'm taking Thursday off, but Kpro will be here for everybody. And
I know which one Cynthia's coming back for because she's moving back to New Mexico. I can tell you.
We need to talk about that. But I'm putting it out there right now that Monday we will take live calls. I will get it to work, and we will take some live calls on Monday's show a week from today. So that'll be interesting as well. So, okay, everybody. Anything else, Cynthia, before we sign off?
Nope. Not that I can think of.
All right.
Okay, wait.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh,
yeah, and you're welcome
you
back
have an open invitation every day, all the time, ever. Okay, so we did the collection of quotes. Okay, I want to make sure. I actually wrote notes because, here's the other thing. Some people have asked, will I share the entire collection that I purchased? I was not given.
You didn't
purchase, or we. Maybe from someone else or from Jonesy. I will tell you, my bags, I brought a completely empty bag. It was 49 pounds and 47 pounds. I brought as much back as I could, but Mike does have part of the collection. It wouldn't all fit in my bag. So I will share some of it. I've shared a lot of it. We're going to go step by step. Some people have asked me what's coming up next. I think it's going to be probably for week after next, Leon Gaspard. That's going to be our next step for some particular reasons. And Tony Russi saying, Cynthia, start your own show. I completely agree. 100%. When are you going to do that?
Your own YouTube show. I could see it.
Not going to happen. It's too much work.
And it is a lot of work.
Oh, and I will say a lot of work is those movies that you bring up, and you do such a good job. So go and see. What is your blog?
The name chasingfennstreasure.com.
chasingfennstreasure.com.
Because of the issues we had, Cynthia, the link that you put is probably not the right link, so you might want to go change that.
Oh.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the link was not right.
Right well, whatever.
Days. Yeah. Okay. Just letting you know.
So I will. Okay. Yes, I will change it.
All right. Anything else, everybody? So what I'll do is I'll play the Preston clip one more time before we go out. Kitchen Sink Mondays on the Hint of Riches YouTube channel.
You know what? You should also play the other one. And that could be a way when people want to replay this. If you just want the quote, go to the very end of this, of whatever broadcast it is, and do the last minute, and that will get you to whether
So
Good idea.
that particular info.
And then also, what do you think of, and I'll just bring this idea up live, what do you think of every Monday we play all the preceding clips? So next Monday we'll play this one, and then we play the new one. Then what I'll do
I
is
think
I'll
that
edit
sounds
it, and it's an
technical to me.
I will edit it into a video where I'm not actually spacing through.
Okay.
If I can make that happen, then that's what we'll do.
Ooh, margaritas with Cynthia. Boom, they've just named her
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Margarita
Yeah, there you go.
Mondays. Margarita
Well,
Mondays.
Well, in that case, I might have to reconsider. Maybe.
Yeah. You're welcome on every Monday. We can talk about these things.
No, her own show. Her own, like,
oh, gotcha.
get more
yes.
tubers.
Yeah. That would be fun,
Okay.
too. All right, here we go. We'll play the Douglas Preston one again real quick. Let's see if I can get this right. I got to make sure I got the right. I don't play something I'm not supposed to here. Here we go.
That in what Forrest just said now, sitting in that chair, I believe a very significant clue was said. But I'm not going to say what it is.
Thank you.
Okay.
And this
Let's
something
add a little
new.
mystery to this.
Something new that no one has gotten before.
Okay.
Well, you know what? After just watching it for the third time, I will say this. When Douglas Preston made that statement, Forrest didn't look at him and be like, there isn't, or I don't want to say. He said thank you, meaning thank you for not saying what it is, which means there was something in this interview that Forrest has never said before, in my opinion, because Forrest didn't correct him. Just my opinion, everybody. All right. No, if only I had the other one set up, but I don't. All right, hang on.
Margarita Mondays, that's what everybody's loving. So you can come on every Monday. I'd have Cynthia on every single show ever. And I want to go off-roading with her again in the mud. That's the most fun thing. That's the most fun day I've ever had as a searcher.
I got a place to take you in Cody, Wyoming. It will terrify you in the mud. No, I mean my mud road scared the hell out of me.
I want a treasure chest at the end, and I'll it's no place for the meat.
tell us
I'll
a little
go.
bit-
That was not for the meek. It was not for me, at least.
All right, I'm looking it up. We'll get there.
Who's saying this is also rehearsed? Yes, the 20 minutes of technical difficulties.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
right.
Yes, that is 100% the case. Yeah, cocktails with Cynthia on what day starts with the C?
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Forrest Fenn clip. And again, it reiterates, where warm waters halt is the first clue. If you guys don't know that by now, I don't know, it's tight. Here we go.
The starting location is important, you have said. Where do we start this poem? Is it in your driveway?
You start the chase by getting in your car and going to the first clue. That's what starts it. If you don't know where warm waters halt, you don't know anything.
And there it is. You don't know where warm waters halt, which is the first clue. You don't know anything. So that's probably what we should concentrate on. How do we figure out where warm waters halt?
There we go. There we have it. There it is. Boom. There. So go to the end of any of our shows on our series, and that'll at least get you the cliff notes, if you will. But there you have it. So.
Okay. Kpro will be here Thursday, and I'll be back on Monday. Maybe Cynthia will be here. We never know.
You never know. Oh,
Mike, I'm going to be in Vegas Monday. Are you going to be around
What?
Monday, Tuesday? Yeah, I forgot to tell you. I'll talk later. I'll talk later. Just a minute.
Well,
We got to hook
you
it
need to
up.
be here at the command center when we go live. But yeah, we'll talk.
I'm flying in. What?
I just remembered because it's like I have to be somewhere next Monday, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to be at
Vegas.
Mike's.
All right, we'll talk for sure. Oh, that'll be interesting. So tune in Monday, everybody. You may get a double surprise. Okay, we will see everybody next time down the road.
Bye, Search Friend.